uh, have different opinions. So it's what's wrong with black people in Missouri? What's wrong with black people in Missouri? I talked about you have the mayor of Ferguson, Missouri, the white mayor. His name is James Knowles III. Ferguson doesn't have a race problem. Ferguson doesn't have a problem with racism. Yeah, that guy, the guy you saw on Tashara Jones. She ran for mayor. I think she was the state treasurer. She ran for St. Louis. They split the African American vote in St. Louis. Now they have a white female mayor. There's a new study that shows the financial impact of segregation on America. In April Fool's Day, we were taught to participate in that nonsense in school. April 4th, we know that was the 49th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Well, you have Black Lives Matter activists and the Fight for 15. They unite for 21st century black families. Solutions we have, and we'll talk about that because it's a powerful agenda, and this is something that every African American agenda, because we have to push these issues and push these agendas at a local, what you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. April 13th is the first session of it, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, with online class. Meets every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the sessions are you know, the story about Ferguson, Missouri, and St. Louis. He is the political editor for theroot.com. He had it was Wednesday. I was watching after all the marching, all the people came from out of town to support Sunken Place re-elects failed mayor. Ferguson, Missouri stays wall we can't scale. Nope, sometimes black people can't have nice things. Okay, because I heard a whole lot of apathy and ignorance as well. So on Tuesday, white splaining, cop coddling, Mike Brown denigrating mayor of Ferguson, Missouri. I don't think there were any African Americans on the city council. Since then, they've gotten 3 on the city council. Missouri are historically low turnout, especially municipal elections, right? Mayor, city council, things like that. Okay? So Dr. Jason Johnson said, I think even, he said it's in the Sunken Place. Now, he said this is becoming a pattern, another stunning example of black voters failing to muster even a modicum of 767 votes. Okay, they have very low. I mean, Ferguson, the incumbent mayor, he got 1,889 votes, 1,800 Missouri, and it'll cost you between $1,500 to $2,000 to run your campaign. But still, it sends a clear message when you have a massive uprising and people going. And the Department of Justice said when they investigated the patterns and practices of the Ferguson Police Department, this is how devious they were in Ferguson, Missouri. This mayor who voted. There are no reports of massive voter intimidation, fraud, or ballot stealing. No, you just number of African American voters in Ferguson. Even if every white person voted for Ferguson was really high. Okay, she is a Democratic state senator, and so why should I care? End quote. Okay, and she's trying to explain the mentality, the brain damage. Mayor James Knowles' victory boils down to local constituent service. Local state Senator Chappelle Nadal argues, Maria Chappelle Nadal, the black community needs to come up with a better candidate strategy. Poverty, you have to inspire people, and you have to be a hustler. Okay? Now, she said this, and Johnson wrote an article for theroot.com. Black male ego sinks, loses mayor's race by 888 votes. Okay? So, Tashara Jones was a city Lyda Krewson, Krewson, who's a Black Lives Matter movement. She's been active with the Black Lives Matter movement since the uprising of 32% of the vote. Tashara Jones got 30.4% of the vote. Dr. Jason Johnson goes on to compare her to Marilyn Mosby and Nina Turner. Marilyn Mosby, who have arisen in the last several years to challenge the racial. This sounds familiar to you, okay? St. Louis, despite being a majority, and city districts have been gerrymandered to diffuse black, all that. They control the police force and they were oppressing the party lines to coalesce around whatever white candidate is running candidate. They maintain political power. Okay, so this is why you also have to deal with politics on a state level. Okay, and 33 governorships. Now, opportunities for black political investment. When she jumped into the race, conventional wisdom said that the top 4 black candidates would count to get out of the race, and they let their ego and misogynism. She said that, quote, "I'm going to be honest. The men decided to stay the males, African American males who were running. She got a larger percentage of the vote. She said percent of the vote. He got two. Alderman Jeffrey Boyd got 2.7%. Alderman Antonio French, and you would see him oftentimes in the race back in 2014 by 10%. Tashara Jones got ego and probably sexism, misogynism. Now, what did they have to show for? She said when all the black candidates met, now pay attention to this. She said when all of the black candidates come together for the common good, even if all the men in the race got together and decided to decide of the break right now, weather vision is 69 degrees and cloudy outside in Detroit. You listen. All right, guys, how's everybody doing? We're on break. We'll be back in 4 minutes. Broadcast on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. We have 970,000 followers on our Sunday night. This is where I am, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. I want to remind you that understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school, okay? Question on this show about Jill Stein. Why did Jill Stein stay in the race? It's December 2015 when Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who was from February of this year, we still can't find out who paid for Jill Stein to fly negatively about Vladimir Putin. Who does that sound like? And who paid for her accommodations? December 2015. What's going on?
Oh, you got a minute left.
30 seconds.
I didn't hear you.
To it, then we got to deal with this story about the real cost of segregation. Because History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation.
50 seconds.
Voice of Detroit. And so I started talking about Russia and talking about him.
Russia
Yeah.
is still a part of the picture.
It's still a part of the picture, yeah. On Facebook, share this broadcast on your own Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in. Station, the Voice of Detroit. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network. The transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade. People are the indigenous people of North, Central, and South America. We've been in the land we call the United States of America. They come from Southern Africa, but they were here in this land we call the United States of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. The 800-year occupation by Europe by latitude and latitude, all different types of things like this. And this is going to set up Columbus to set sail to slave trade for the first 200 years. The Spanish is right behind them, and Columbus lays the foundation for slavery, racism, capitalism, and exploitation. It's not an episode in history, didn't just fall out of the sky. It is a result of a sequence. So online, you can tune in from around the world. The sessions are recorded. You can review them over and over again. It's the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-209-9000 is astute and voting for their best interests. We saw it in Ferguson, Missouri, with the in the winner got I think 32% of the vote. Okay, larger percentage of the vote than any other African American candidate. All right, so is symptomatic of a larger problem in the black community when it comes to Democratic Party politics. Black women are locked out, and white voters, all 3% of white women who put gender, they put gender first. And he goes on to say that's why 96% of black women rallied behind over an African American woman, Donna Edwards, for the was a white candidate, and you had the majority of the male members of the CBC fight once representing a district that is 30% African American. Male ego sinks black woman magic in St. Louis election. Tashara Jones loses, re-elects failed mayor. Okay. All right. So